Hey y'all, this is Alli Spears, your host of the Ag Chicks podcast, where I cultivate connections with the women who are helping feed the world. Today we are welcoming back Alli Fender to the Ag Chicks podcast. If you remember, Alli grew up in San Diego's beautiful backcountry on a small dairy and beef operation. After she earned her degree in animal health technology, she became a licensed veterinary technician and worked in a local animal hospital. In 2014, Alli and her high school sweetheart Bryce were married and began their beef herd with the gift of 10 bred heifers from her father. They officially established Flying F Ranch in 2020, selling high-quality beef to San Diego consumers. Their business has since expanded to include registered Black Angus cattle, therefore enhancing the quality of their offerings. Recently, they started hosting ranch-to-table experiences where locals can enjoy a curated 5-course beef meal paired with local wines and brews right there on their ranch. Alli is also an active member of the San Diego Cowbells, vice president of this organization, and a 2023 NCBA Trailblazer. She's passionate about advocacy and sharing her story in the cattle industry. When she's not running the ranch or raising her 2 sons, Warren and Wells, with her husband Bryce, she's breeding and showing Australian Shepherds, participating in CrossFit, and supporting local 4-H activities. Alli's dedication to her family, community, and the cattle industry is truly inspiring, and I am so excited to welcome her back to the podcast.
Excited to have you back on the podcast, and you've been just, doing a few things since we last chatted. So I want to dive into kind of like a life update maybe, and we can kind of roll from there because, like I said, you've got a lot going on. We've had some really interesting interactions lately, just between us, but then other people as well. So I kind of want to jump into that because I think that's worth talking about. But let's start with what's going on, where are you at, what are all of the things you've got in the works right now?
Yeah, so I don't quite remember what we talked about last time we were on the podcast together, but lately things have been kind of shifting a lot in our business, which has been really fun. Definitely some learning curves to be had, and that we're kind of experiencing at the moment. But we've always done direct to consumer beef with our Black Angus, and originally we were doing wholesale beef where we were just selling whole and half shares to locals and just kind of like friends and family and things of that nature. And then things kind of shifted because our beef would sell out so fast. And I also had a lot of people locally in San Diego County that were looking for smaller amounts of beef to put into their freezers because a lot of people live in condos or apartments and things like that and don't have a chest freezer in their garage, or if they even have a garage. So we kind of shifted things and split our business into having, we'll always have direct to consumer sales on our wholesale beef because that's something that a lot of people enjoy. But also we added on the USDA retail cuts to our operation where we are able to supply the other demographic of people that can't put a whole lot of beef in their freezer and would rather have like 10 to 20 pounds of beef instead of 400 pounds of beef. So we started doing that. Let's see. We took our first load up there to Paso Robles, which is about 6 to 7 hours away, more closer to 7 hours with a truckload of cattle. But let's see, I want to say we did it in June. I can't quite remember, but I think it was like beginning of June that we took 4 beef up there just to try it out and see what happens. And dropped off our 4 beef. And then luckily, right after kind of luckily, but I'm just glad that we dropped off the 4 beef first. But on the way home, we ran out of DEF in our new truck that we just got. So lesson learned there is always have a bucket of DEF in your car or in your truck. But we got rescued by another direct-to-consumer rancher actually in the California Valley and ended up having like a crazy little adventure with him because he was actually gathering cattle that day. So we ended up helping him a little tiny bit. So that was kind of fun. But we got home super late and picked up our beef the following week, or I'm sorry, like the following 2 weeks. And ever since then, we've been just kind of like experiencing or experimenting with how direct to consumer sales work on the retail side, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder, I would definitely say, just because you have to market all these other cuts that people aren't familiar with. Whereas when you're selling a whole or a half a steer, people kind of just have to figure it out because they have it in their freezer. Whereas when you're selling retail cuts, people are automatically going towards fillets or ribeyes or the more familiar cuts. Whereas they don't really know what an O-bone roast is, or what do you do with a flap steak, or things like that. So you kind of have to do a little bit more education, which I don't really mind doing. I enjoy cooking and kind of like experimenting myself and sharing what works for me in my kitchen and what might help other people as well. So it's been a little bit more of a communicating endeavor for both Bryce and I, my husband and I, and trying to further educate our consumer on how to prepare their beef, because that can be something that not everybody has a comfortable experience with, because sometimes it can be a little bit tough to cook steaks in the kitchen when especially when you're buying it for a higher value. So anyway, things have been interesting in that. I ended up doing farmers markets as well, just to kind of help gain more customers in my local area. So I'm trying farmers markets once a week, which has been fun. It's in a nicer area of San Diego, so it's not bad to go down there in the weekends. It's like right close to the beach. There's like a nice cool air and fun people. There's a lot of really interesting dogs that come by, and I love dogs. So anyway, it's a cool market, and I get to do a little bit of shopping as well, and have made a couple friends with other vendors that are there. And we also started doing, we had already done it once, but we did our second dinner on the ranch, which is another kind of different thing that we just wanted to add in. And that kind of happened originally because we wanted to share more about what we do on the ranch, invite people on, and just kind of have like a whole experience that people can come and eat, drink, enjoy some company with some new friends, and kind of learn a little bit more about what we do as ranchers. And so that has been a really fun project for Bryce and I. I enjoyed being able to like kind of communicate our story, how we raise our cattle, how we feed our cattle, how the cattle are finished, and then having the end product right there for them to try on their own and kind of get that full experience and be immersed in the ranch and what we do. So that has been really, really fun. And I enjoy doing that with local chefs, local restaurants, and local wineries and breweries. So that has been really fun. And I enjoy talking to other producers that want to kind of implement some more agritourism or some sort of like events that they can apply to their business and their operations. So I'm not an expert at all. Like I'm definitely learning every single time we've done it, but it's been a lot of fun. So if you enjoy party planning or doing anything like that, that's another fun little thing that we've incorporated in our business as well.
Yeah, and so like I said, right, nothing going on. You guys are just
nothing at all.
eating bonbons these days.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to go back to the direct-to-consumer retail addition now to your business, because I do think that that is something a lot of people don't understand, the big shift that occurs from when you go to like selling halves, wholes to the retail side of things. And then also just kind of getting in a little bit too on like the regulations maybe that you have to deal with doing retail, because I know that probably shifts. I know at least here in Texas, has to have USDA inspection, and it has to have like the storage has to be, there's like lots of the storage or lots
yes.
to do with how you store the beef before you sell it. So would you mind explaining a little bit about kind of what that looked like for you guys to make that transition?
Yeah, for sure. So what we originally did is we had to figure out freezer space before we even thought about bringing cattle to a USDA processor. So we ended up finding a really smoking deal pretty much for 3 commercial freezers. So you do have to have a commercial freezer or some sort of commercial setup to be able to store your beef in California. I'm in California. I know that things can kind of be a little bit different from state to state, but the freezers that we have are commercial and they are approved by the USDA. So we got 3 big freezers that are about 40 cubic feet. And so we figured with that freezer space, we should be able to fit 4 whole beef into these freezers. which all said and done, 4 beef definitely fit in there. It was definitely a tight squeeze. So we just took out all the shelving out of our freezers and just kind of stacked the boxes nicely. And then I have an inventory sheet that I have on our laptop that I can kind of keep track of things on there. So I have to be a little bit diligent with that because it's not automatic, so it's something that you just have to like kind of keep track of on your own. And then as far as the regulations on selling retail here in California is you do have to have USDA inspection slaughter and USDA inspection labeled beef with your logo on it and everything like that. So the way that we kind of went about that, I have other friends in Southern California, Central California that use different processors, and I kind of like, pick the brains of my fellow ranchers that also do direct to consumer and kind of found a processor that should work for us. Unfortunately, where I live, I'm like close to the border of Mexico. So I either have to go 6 to 7 hours. It doesn't matter where I go, but it's 6 to 7 hours no matter where. So I ended up picking up the place in Paso Robles because I have a friend that also goes there. And so talked to the lady who's the manager there and ended up sending in my logo and all that kind of stuff. And then they just kind of like created our label for us. So it has all the, all the specs on the label via the USDA. So that's kind of how we can sell our beef here. And technically I could ship my beef if I wanted to, but at the moment I'm not. And I chose to do that because I live in an area where there is a large population, or I live right outside of a pretty urbanized area. So I don't think I need to ship, and I know shipping can be expensive. So it's also baby steps. I'm kind of like learning as I go, as I said before. So so far, so good. I feel like I've been getting sales every week. The farmers market has helped a lot, just gaining new customers and kind of like being the face of the business and being right there to answer questions that anybody may have. And we'll see if we ship in the future, but at the moment we're not. So we'll kind of like play that one by ear.
Yeah, no, and like you said, I feel like shipping adds like a whole nother realm of challenges,
Exactly.
especially when you're dealing with a perishable item, right?
Right.
But if you guys are able to sell right locally and handle it that way, then more power to you because that is
Yeah,
the deal in my mind.
exactly. I know. I always tell people like I don't live in the middle of like Nebraska or Kansas,
Right.
somewhere where I have to ship. And there's a lot of people that do have to ship because most ranches are in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
But luckily for Bryce and I, we are in Southern California, San Diego County. People around here are really food conscious. They are, a lot of people in this area are very just concerned, or I wouldn't say concerned, but they put their health and their lifestyle as like a top priority around here. And it's just like the demographic is just what it is. So in a way, it works really well for us because we're able to market to those kind of people that want to know where their food comes from.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of follow up with is how have those conversations gone, or like maybe what has been some questions you've gotten with now kind of being out in some of these farmers markets and just obviously having a product out on the market now.
Yeah. It's been interesting. There's been some people, for example, last weekend I had like 2 completely different crowds coming in and out. But
Interesting.
I had a couple that came in and were talking to me and they were like, "How do you finish your beef?" And so this has always been like a little bit of a tough one to like say in a simplified way where it makes sense to the consumer and that they also can like build trust with us
Right.
because we do finish our cattle on grain. And as I said before, a lot of people are very health conscious around here. So the big marketing lingo is, oh, they want to know that your beef is grass finished or grass fed. They want to know, they think that it's organic. They think that it's all natural or hormone free, da da da. And for our cattle, we don't give hormones or antibiotics if they don't need it. Obviously, if we have sick cattle, we're going to give it to them. And I always tell people, because it's true, if we do have a sick calf that needs antibiotics, we'll hold that calf back for our own family. And we feel comfortable consuming that calf because of the withdrawal period and things of that nature that we are able to, just be able to, we feel comfortable eating that beef. But I know that many consumers are not comfortable with that, which is totally fine. But I don't want to let that animal go to waste either.
Right.
And I also don't want, it's an animal welfare issue in my mind and in the minds of most people. So if you can explain it in that kind of way, because the general consumer just assumes that everything's pumped with this and pumped with that and all these, kind of misconceptions that are floating around out in the universe. So anyway, getting back on track, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I tell people that our cattle are always on pasture, which is true. Our cattle are upcycled, a wasted byproduct, because we get spent beer grain from a local brewery. That's how we background our cattle. Most people don't know what backgrounding means. So I typically tell them after we wean our calves, we feed them a spent beer grain diet in addition to pasture. And then after a few months of that, we will start creeping them with a cob finisher, which is just corn, oats, and barley.
Mm-hmm.
And we do get that from a local animal nutritionist. People like to know that this grain is being sourced locally somehow. And we feed our cattle for an average of 90 days of just having that little extra grain just to increase the marbling, increase tenderness, increase the easeability of cooking the meat, and increase the flavor and overall experience of the meat. And I like to tell people too that when they're buying our product, you're buying like a steakhouse kind of beef. You're not buying something that was just grown in somebody's backyard. Although this was grown in my backyard, I want people to know that what they're getting is quality when they're buying from Flying F Ranch. And to get quality, in our opinion, is to finish them on a little bit of grain. And we're also always feeding the grass as well, because they need grass in order for their stomachs to work properly, which is another misconception, because they just think that you're just feeding them straight corn. Not the case. So
Right.
I just have to like be a little bit more, you have to kind of like think about, not to dumb it down, but you have to think about it in a way how it makes sense to the consumer. Some people will want to listen to the way that we finish our cattle. Some people just want to know, like, hey, is your beef grass finished, or is your beef organic? And I'll tell them, no, it's not, and then they'll walk away. And that's fine, because there's other ranchers in our area that do finish just straight grass,
Right.
or organic, or whatever the case may be, because there's a market for everybody. And I think that it's important to be able to support whatever people are comfortable eating for themselves. But most of the time people are like, oh, that's cool that you upcycle grain, that's sustainable, I like that. Or, oh, you're just a small family, like I love that you are a small family and you're a woman rancher, like that's awesome. So people, it's not always, it's just they want to know who you are, and they want to know how you do it. So I think that's important to just kind of keep in mind, and not try to don't keep it complicated. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I basically tell them we do feed grain, we do pick up spent brewer's grain to upcycle that grain, and we ultimately want to provide like the highest quality product possible, and this is how we do it.
Yeah, and you guys too have put a lot of emphasis on picking the best genetics too, right? To make sure that you are able to have that high quality product at the end too. So I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but I know that's something that you guys definitely do.
Yeah. And I do talk about that as well at the markets, and when people have questions, especially like when we had our farm dinner, we did a ranch tour and we talked a lot about genetics, and it definitely, you can tell people were like intrigued by that, because it's not something that a lot of, you don't see a whole lot of it in the grocery stores. You might see like the certified Angus beef cab logo on some products that you may come across, or other similar products, but it's not always the case. People just see beef and buy beef.
Right.
But I think genetics is really important, because just like anything, it's a way that we're able to be sustainable in a different direction, and also we're being economical, and it's just more efficient, to be honest. So we chose Black Angus because the Black Angus Association has done an incredible job with their data collection and continuing to learn more about how to improve certain things that the breed may have trouble with, or how we can elevate different areas of the breed where we can like improve other breeds. So for example, using a Black Angus bull is going to like improve an overall herd of any sort of breed. So say like if you want to put a Black Angus bull and some Hereford heifers, you're going to get some really great calving ease for the most part. You'll get better marbling for, like, I would say marbling is going to be like your number one. That's what the Black Angus breed is really known for. And docility is also another thing that the Black Angus breed is known for. So being able to utilize Black Angus genetics to up level your herd is essential in a ranching business, in my opinion. There's other amazing breeds out there and other breed associations that are doing similar work. Black Angus has just done it the longest. So I think that's why they kind of excel in that department when it comes to EPDs, genetics, and genetic selection. But it's another marketing technique, honestly, for our business. We're able to kind of explain that we choose bulls and heifers for marbling, tenderness, their foot scores, and overall maternal rate or maternal scores. And I guess like carcass traits are kind of like one of the more common things that the Black Angus breed is known for.
Right.
So for us, it just made sense. And in Southern California, they do well here. And I just like how gentle they are too. They are really easy to work with. I hate a cow that can be like a little touchy. So if I can like pet my cows, then I'm pretty happy. And happy cows make good beef.
Yep.
And so I think that utilizing the genetics and being able to kind of show that from pasture to plate too is, it just kind of proves our point in a sense. And also I can also mention that like when we first started all this direct to consumer stuff in 2020, we did not have Black Angus in our herd really. We had like maybe a little bit of mixed breed, and the end product from our first harvest of beef to now is like night and day. I can like definitely tell the difference, like taste wise, marbling wise, like the ribeye size, everything about it has like completely shifted. It's like a 180. So again, like quality is like our number one. It's one of our top priorities when it comes to like our beef operation. So the Black Angus breed has really done that for us.
Yeah, no, and kind of going a little bit back to your comments about marketing and using all of those tools to market your product. What have you, I guess a two-part question here. So first being, how do you market your product besides like going to farmers markets? Obviously is probably a huge one. I know you use social media, which I would love to talk about. And then also now having these kind of pasture to plate type dinners, has that helped with marketing? Are these people who are already buying from you, or are they kind of like new customers that came because of the event and now they're kind of bought in? Like how has that kind of transpired for you guys?
Yeah, so I would say like social media was kind of the start of it, to be honest. And then also probably my number one marketing technique is our email list.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do, my email list is more of like storytelling. It's almost like a mini blog once a week or so. And I'll kind of like share like a quick story that happened on the ranch, or maybe even a recipe that I just kind of tried at home, or things like that. It's not like super pushy on sales, but it's like more of like kind of like a little story. And then I'll add in like, hey, we have this beef available, or this, we're doing turkeys this week, or, something that kind of like might go along with whatever story I'm telling at the beginning of my email. And that has done really well for us. And when I look at like my email analytics, it's like a 50% open rate, which is pretty good. And typically it just kind of depends on the click rates and stuff, but it's like anywhere from like 1 to 4%, which is like about average too, I would say. So email marketing is my number one. I think I have like 1,200 people on my email list right now. Most of them are from Southern California, and I have some randoms in there as well. But that has been like my number one lately. And then as far as social media now, I use it a little bit for marketing for our business. I use a lot of it for beef advocacy. and kind of just doing like silly little things with our family. Just, I want people to know us for who we are and what we actually do and not be salesy. I hate too much like push on sales. I don't personally like it when I get that from different marketing agencies or different businesses and things of that nature. I want it to feel authentic. And if you like me, awesome. They typically will buy if they like us. And if not, that's cool too. I don't really mind as long as we're creating some like educational content that can even be entertaining at the same time. And then for the beef dinners that we've been doing on the ranch to table dinners, it's been a little mix of things, like of customers, I guess you could say. I have had some people that have been returning like whole and half share buyers that want to come and just kind of see the ranch and see where their beef is coming from.
Mhm.
I've had random people that have followed me on Instagram that just want to like come and experience the ranch and may not be buying beef from us at the moment. And then I have like friends and family that come that are huge supporters that want to just be there and support us. And then I've had some people that have come to the ranch for the ranch to table dinners and then bought beef and brought it home for the first time. So it's been like all over the place, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's just like a wide pool of people that are just interested in being there. But I would say like everyone that has come to our ranch to table dinners, they leave so happy and so in awe because like some people have never seen a cow before. And some people just learned so much from speaking with Bryce and I, and just being able to be on the ranch and like see the cows grazing in the background while they're enjoying dinner. So those have been like really cool experiences. And I think it's been good marketing organically for us as well. Because these people are sharing by word of mouth that they were at the ranch. I had some people at the farmers markets mention that they had a friend that went to the dinner and that they want to come to the next dinner. So yeah, it's been more organic of like a marketing technique, I would say. And I mean, some of those people are like sharing photos and things like that on their Facebook or their Instagram and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, so I would say it's a little bit of everything, and that's kind of like how it all starts. Sometimes you kind of start with like social media and start there because it's free and you're able to get your message out there pretty quickly, and it's at the fingertips of anybody. And then as you kind of grow, you kind of learn that most of your real diehard people are going to be on your email list. So I do a lot of focus on my email list.
Yeah, and you have a great email. I read it every time it comes through.
Oh, well, thank you.
Looking for a snack that's American made and a premium product? Try Prime Plus Wagyu beef bars. Crafted from 100% American Wagyu beef, these bars are rich in flavor and packed with protein. Whether you're out in the field or sitting at a desk all day and need a quick bite, Prime Plus Wagyu gives you the clean, delicious energy you need without any of the additives you don't. Taste the difference of true quality with Prime Plus Wagyu. Beef with a purpose. Use code AGCHICKS at checkout for a discount. I am so excited to now be working with Ag Gear, a brand that is more than just clothing, it's a true partner in the field. Ag Gear understands the hard work and dedication that farmers and ranchers put in every day because they share the same values. The team behind Ag Gear is composed of hardworking Americans who appreciate the grit and determination it takes to keep agriculture thriving. That's why their clothing is purpose-built, crafted from advanced fabrics to withstand the long days and tough conditions that come with the job. From breathable gear for the summer to durable jackets for the winter, Ag Gear designs apparel that supports and protects those who feed the nation. Listeners can take advantage of a very special offer by using AgChicks at checkout to receive money back off your order. Again, that code is AgChicks at checkout.
You're one of my not Southern California people.
Right, I know. I'm one of those randoms that's thrown in there.
Yeah, you're one of my randoms.
But going back to social media just for a second, because I think that ties in well, you even mentioned it, like the advocacy side of things. Obviously, it's marketing your business, your beef, your ranch, your family, because that is very much a part of your whole business model, I would say, is being able to provide food for others with your family. Like that is a huge piece of what you guys do. But you have had a huge recognition and honor since the last time we've chatted. You were named the Advocate of the Year. And so congratulations, first of all, publicly on the podcast. Congratulations. I know we've talked about it. But
well, thank you.
Also, that has come with a lot of really kind of cool opportunities, I'm assuming, too, just with like getting to meet different people, interacting in different lights, in different kind of avenues. So what has that been like, and how has that kind of evolved through social media as well?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate all those kind words. I feel like
So deserving,
anybody,
so
it could
deserving.
have been in anybody's pocket to get Advocate of the Year. So I'm just so thankful for being recognized for that. I just tell people I'm just sharing the good word about beef, and that's it. And apparently people like it, so that's good. I'm doing my job. So yeah, I for social media wise, I think what really started it was honestly the Trailblazer program that you and I went through together in 2023. So we were cohort number 2. We had a really good group of people. I loved our cohort and everybody that was a part of it. And so I have a lot to thank with Chandler and Paul at NCBA. They're the ones that really got all of us into the advocacy realm, I guess you can say, and really gave us the tools to be able to further tell our story and kind of nix all those misinformation or all the myths that are floating around about the beef industry and what we do as producers. Because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is feed people high quality protein.
Right.
And I think that program really pushed me to further tell my story. And especially being in Southern California, it can be a daunting place to share your story and not be attacked by, the internet trolls or even the crazy animal rights activists that are in our area. It can be a little bit intimidating to share your story down here because you don't know where it's going to go or how people are going to take it. So I have a lot to think with that. And then I guess there's one pivotal moment I can really think of that kind of got me on this track of becoming Advocate of the Year was, I guess, 2 years ago, or maybe last year. I was at the California Cattlemen's Conference and Cattlewomen's Conference in Reno. And I'm not going to say too much about this, but I'll just kind of like roughly. We had a speaker that was talking to one of our sessions. And after the fact, some of the ladies that I was in the sessions with said, "Did you know that the speaker like hates California and they're here speaking to us?" And I was like, "Oh no." And so, long story short, I did a little bit of background research and it just kind of floored me. I'm like, really? Like, California does so much for not only our nation, but beyond that. Like, we're number 3 in the world economic wise. So, we feed a whole lot of people. California agriculture is huge. And there's so many hardworking people and blue collar people that live in the state of California. I know a lot of people outside of the state look at us as like the redheaded stepchild that is, there's a dumpster fire happening here. And that's partially true. But there's a lot of people here. I feel like, I don't know for a fact, but I have like a gut feeling that there's so many more of us that just want to feed people or that just want like what's best for everybody. Most people think of like San Francisco, LA, or Sacramento when they're thinking about California, but there's so many other amazing places here. And again, we feed a lot of people. So anyway, moral of the story is it like kind of fired me up, and I was in my hotel room in Reno and I made this post about California agriculture, and it was a little reel, and basically it was just like a little bit of a clap back on like, hey, California feeds a lot, and there's a lot of people here that work very hard to feed you. And the post blew up. It's probably my number 1 post, and that's what kind of like got me going because it was a lot of positive praise and it was a lot of negative praise. And so it really showed me that I need to advocate more for my state because California is beautiful. I know you're from California too, Alli, and it's got a lot to offer. And we just have a negative light painted on us, to be honest. And Again, a lot of us, especially in agriculture, are a little bit more quiet when it comes to politics in our state, or trying to protect your own property and trying to protect what you do for a living. They just want to be left alone and just do what they do best, which is raise quality food, whether it's avocados or apples or beef. So I think it's important that we have people that speak up a little bit in our state and be able to share our story further, because if we don't, somebody else will. And also, if we don't, there's some very bad things that can happen.
Yeah.
And food prices can go up if any weird stuff happens in California more than it already is. I don't know about you, but when I go grocery shopping, my like grocery bill is like, I'm feeding a family of 4, but it's a lot more now than it was not too long ago. So I think it's important that we speak up, especially in California. So if you're a California listener and you feel the same, I encourage you to share a little bit more about what you do as a producer, because a lot of people just don't know, because a lot of us don't really talk about it. So speak up.
Yeah, no, and I think that's something that you have done a really good job about, is like talking about California as a whole and just kind of really shedding the light on all of the incredible things that are happening in the state, even though there are some things that are not so hot in the state going on right now.
Yeah.
But it's, being someone from California, that's always like kind of like I don't know, like when I first got to Texas, and still sometimes like when I interact with people, it's kind of like my dirty little secret. Like people just don't like, they just have a bad taste in their mouth about the state. But just like you said, like one of the number one ag producing states, so much food is coming out of California. And there are so many people who, like you said, like truly just want to like go to work, feed people, and like that be it. But there's so much other stuff that they have to deal with.
Right.
Just because of the way the world is right now, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think it's such an important thing to remember as an advocate, and just like as, someone who wants to be a part of feeding the world or feeding their own family. You don't even have to play an integral role in agriculture, but just knowing kind of where your food is coming from.
Exactly. Yep. I agree 100%.
But yeah, no, so I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, we also just got back from a really cool trip. We had the unique opportunity to be invited back. I feel like we were like invading on cohort 3's world a little bit, but I don't care.
I know.
We were invited back to the Prime Partners event, which was a event put on as a part of the Beef Checkoff, to really kind of mold the two worlds of food, I guess you could say. Producers, but then also individuals who are involved in the food sector, whether that is chefs, dietitians, nutritionists, and also just kind of like, we kept calling them the foodies. And I asked Hope the other day, I was like, did you guys like that? Like, what was that? She's like, no, we thought it was funny. But the people who personally way better at putting meals together than I am. But what was kind of your take on that event and being a part of it, I guess?
Yeah, that was really, really fun. When Chandler first reached out to some of us asking if we wanted to be a part of it, I don't know. I just knew that I really wanted to, because I have a huge appreciation for the dietitian culture and nutritionist culture. One of the California Beef Council nutritionists and dietitians, I think she's a dietitian actually. She has like given me so much valuable information about beef and like how to share more about like the beef end product and like how to prepare things and make it more like family friendly for like the little ones and things like that. So I was excited to kind of like see more of that in different areas of the United States and how all these people kind of like mesh together. So I remember showing up. I was on the later version, or the later crew of people flying in.
Right.
So I like ran in. Yeah, we were like running in. It was me, Joe Lowe, and Arlie Reeves. And I wanted to go change. I was in my total cowgirl California attire. Like I was wearing shorts and tennis shoes and a cowboy hat and a t-shirt. I felt so dumb when I first walked into NCBA, but I was like, I'm here, whatever. So anyway, I went in there and I like saw a few of like, familiar faces and stuff from our cohort. And I kind of know like the faces of some of the new cohort and even cohort number 1, because number 1 was there as well. And after that, I really wanted to try to like start talking to some of these other individuals that are outside the industry, because again, I want people to understand that us ranchers are not a bunch of like grumpy old men with like handlebar mustaches and like just are set in our ways, you know, like I want people to feel like we are open and we're inviting, and we want to, you know, kind of know more about their side of the industry too, and like why did they want to come to learn more about beef, and how beef is produced and raised and everything like that. So I did talk to a few people. I actually did know one influencer, which I didn't realize she was going to be there, or I guess like an influencer account that she works for, but it's the Feed, and they are out of LA. Her name was Anna. That was their representing the Feed. But I kind of knew her already because I did an event with them last December, I think, with some other foodie influencers of Southern California, and it was a beef event too. So that was really fun. So I talked with her for a little bit. I talked to a few other people too, and I was just trying really hard to like not talk to the beef people. I felt bad because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to these people. I'll talk to you later, Tucker. Yeah. Like, just relax. So anyway, so that was really fun. Night one actually went a lot smoother than I thought. I remember being on the plane thinking like, I wonder how people are going to interact. Like, it's probably gonna be a little awkward at first, but Chandler did a really great job, and the whole NCBA team did a really great job trying to like smooth things over. It was like a cocktail hour, so there was just like little cocktail tables. People could get wine, or I don't know if there was beer, but like they had a whole bunch of like beefy appetizers that the Beef It's What's for Dinner team had put together for everyone. So that was really fun. We ate a ton of beef. And the following day, we all kind of like had like a learning session, and we're in tables that were assigned. And I had the table with Justin from, was it his account? I can't remember right now. It's like
Grub.
Just like Grub.
Introduce Justin.
Okay, I want to say it's Grubs with Just.
It's Grub with Just. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I love him. Oh my gosh, he was a hoot, and he was awesome. But everybody was awesome. I don't know how to explain it. Like, they did a really good job picking these people, or maybe just because they're more like influencers on the internet and they're just like used to being more out there. But everybody was so awesome, and I love my little table. But the next day we got to do like meat science stuff, and like they got to cut actual carcass, which I've had a lot of experience with that, doing different events and things like that. But some of these people have probably never even seen like a quarter cow or something like that. So that was cool to be able to see in person and learn a little bit more about some meat science stuff. And then we talked more about, I guess like the first or that second day, we talked a lot about like internet, or how should I say this? Like all the analytics and stuff like that. Like, what is Gen Z on, or what is the millennials
the
kind of like
behind why?
Yeah,
certain
exactly. Yes, research marketing. Yeah. So that was really interesting for me, because I feel like that's something that I don't really know. Like, I'm always winging it when I'm on social media. Like, I have zero strategy. So that was kind of cool to have like a little bit more insight on like how things are kind of like broken down, like data wise. So that was cool. And then let's see, like following up days, we did a ranch tour at Leachman Cattle, which we did that on our cohort last year. It's a little bit different, and that was cool. I love Leachman Cattle, and I love, again, like he's really puts a lot of effort into genetics, and how they do their breeding programs and stuff is a lot different than what my husband and I do. But I really have an appreciation for how they select cattle, because it's totally different, but same thing. Like, we're just picking the best genetic traits to create the best cattle possible, which is unique for American cattle businesses. So that was cool, and really neat to see some people see and touch and feel cattle for the first time ever, on the nutritionist and dietary side.
With cow poop for sure too.
Oh my gosh, yes. That was so funny. Yeah, there was we went to CSU, and we were in the Temple Grandin, like her whole like setup for movement of cattle, like in pens and stuff like that. And a couple influencers were taking a picture with a little poop that they forgot to clean up at the campus. So yeah, just like little funny things like that like is so out of the ordinary for a lot of these foodie people, but for us it's like, oh, it's just like another cow poo. Like I didn't even see it because I see it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like the highlight of their day. I don't know. I think for me, it was just refreshing to like see our industry through someone else's eyes again.
Yes.
And also they were so knowledgeable in their field. So to feel like now I can reach out to people in areas I know nothing about. And also just like the creativity behind what they do of the product we create. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like,
no, it does.
It was just like so refreshing, I think, to be reminded that we're all in this together. Like there's no reason for a divide. Like we're truly all in this with the same goal. Which was just an interesting, I just haven't thought about that in a long time.
Right. No, I agree.
My own thing that I don't think about it.
Yeah. I think the whole thing that brought us together was beef. And they have an appreciation for beef, and obviously we do too. So I think that was what was unique about it, is we all had a common thing that we were all focused on for that whole entire week. And there were people that had completely different ideologies on what, like what their personal beliefs are. And it was like all out of total respect, which is like such a breath of fresh air. Like we're seeing so many divisive techniques in media, especially now that it's an election year. It's like, it was nice to see that people can definitely unite together for a common cause, which is we're just trying to feed people high quality protein and a good valued product that we are comfortable feeding our families and that we are comfortable feeding other families as well. So I agree. Like I think it was just like so cool to see like the collaboration and the strength that was built from all parties.
Yeah, nope, I agree. And yeah, I don't know how they picked the people that got to go, but they did a heck of a job because we're still chatting it up even like a few minutes ago.
I know. Talking. Yeah. I think like, I don't even think that NCBA realized how successful it was.
I don't think so either. And I think this is like truly a blueprint for other industries and like starting conversations revolving around agriculture, because it's like they did it right. Like they did it perfectly. Like I don't think you could have done anything better, honestly. Like it was done so well.
No, I agree. I think like the other thing too to note is bringing in these people in it. Like we brought these people to a ranch and they were able to like ask the questions to the professionals that run the ranch. Or even like when we were doing these tours, I had like Jessica from, I forget if she's like Rhode Island or Maryland or something like that, but she's like up in that area of the United States. But she was with me during the ranch tour, just like kind of asking me questions about like, what are you looking at? Like when you're looking at these cattle, like what, I don't understand. So I was like, oh, like for me personally, like everyone's different, but I like to look at feet. Like feet is very important to me because that would indicate that this cow can be in my herd for a long time. Longevity is a huge factor that my husband and I consider when we're selecting cattle, because the longer they stay in our herd, the better, because they're, if you have to sell her early, she's losing money for you. Right. So if she's not able to carry a calf every year, she's losing money for you. So if she is able to have like good feet, she can travel well. Same thing with a bull. If he has good feet, he can travel well, he can breed well, and it's all around a better investment. And then like after that, she like posted like a story or something of the bull's feet, and she was like, Alli Fender told me to look for a cow with nice toes, like a pretty pedicure. So it's like, and then she's sharing that with like all of her followers, which are people that are outside of the industry, so it's just like little things like that. It's just, you have to have these conversations with people and like make it into a conversation that like makes more sense, like a pedicure on a cow, so anyway, that whole entire trip was awesome. Like I would do that again, hands down, if Chandler wants me to.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
he's the boss.
Paul, put us on the list for next time.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, it was such a good program, and I think just the Trailblazer, program, I guess that's what you'd call it, as a whole has been something that I went into thinking I was gonna get a lot out of from like personal gain, which that sounds so bad, but I think I've gotten so much more like perspective out of it than I ever really thought that I would. So it's been a good thing to be a part of. So if anyone's curious, I think no, they're not opening it up quite yet.
No, I want to say it opens in like November or
Right.
something around there, somewhere around there. I don't know.
No, I think
We'll
that's
get
right.
back to you guys on that.
Stay tuned. We'll put
Just keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing I did want to talk about is really just now that you guys are doing more retail stuff, do you guys have a new website? Like, are you selling beef on through online, or how is that working? Just in
Yeah.
case someone's listening in your area that wants to know too.
Yeah, so we do have a website. My website's flyingfranch.org. And basically you can order beef online, and I only have the option for pickup, so it cannot be shipped, you know. So when people check out, they can like select whatever they want, and then it just has like for pickup. And then typically I get a notification, or I do get a notification via email or even on my app on my phone. I use Shopify, and from there I can kind of coordinate like whether they want to meet up somewhere nearby, or if they want to pick up at the ranch, or if they want to pick up at the farmers market. So that's kind of like how I've been doing it lately. We do retail beef that's just like single cuts, and we call it our rancher's reserve beef. And that's just kind of like our specialty single cuts. And then we also have beef bundles, which is a collaboration of different cuts that people can try out. Like I have like a steak lovers box that's called Cowboy, or no, Coastal Cowboy. Like I try to name them all like kind of like Southern California vibe kind of themes. Or like I have a Taco Tuesday box that I call the Old Town, which in San Diego there's a Hispanic area that's like known for Mexican cuisine called Old Town. So just kind of like little fun names like that. So it's more like customized for our area and our local community. So yeah, so people can just like order online, or sometimes I just have friends that text me and be like, hey, I want 10 pounds of ground beef. I'm like, okay, cool, just Venmo me, you know? So it just depends. But for the most part, a lot of people do their orders online, and then I just kind of like coordinate pickup in some sort of way.
Yeah, perfect. And that's one thing I forgot to mention too when we were kind of talking about foodie, recipe, all of those types of things. Alli is fantastic at all of that. Like literally every night when she posts what they're having, I'm like, dude, I want to be at Alli's house tonight.
Yeah, one day.
She's a great resource for all of that too. If you're like needing beef recipe ideas, she won your beef recipe won last year at CattleCon, didn't it?
Yeah, okay. Long story short on that one. Well, Chandler wanted us to apply for different things to get to CattleCon. And he had mentioned like, oh, you can do like beef recipe, and like you might be able to get like free admission for like a guest too. And I was like, oh, all right. So I just put up a random, not really random, but I put up a recipe that I enjoyed that actually is not even my recipe. And I am very open about this. So just so you guys know. But it was a recipe that I kind of collaborated with our brewery, Viewpoint Brewing Company in Del Mar, which is in San Diego area. And they're the brewery that we pick up our beer grain with. And every year, the brewery and I, or the brewery and Flying F Ranch, we do a collaboration kind of thing with the San Diego Farm Bureau. They have an event called Graze, and it's at the Carlsbad Flower Fields, and it's really fun. It's like a bunch of different farmers and ranchers that have a booth set up, and you have to have some sort of bite from your operation. So like the avocado people have like guacamole, and like the peach people have like a peach like balsamic glazed crostini, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we always collaborate with the brewery, and the brewery also has a really nice restaurant attached to it. So I just give them whatever beef they want, and then they create a recipe. So one year they wanted ground beef, and they made a picadillo. And picadillo is a Cuban recipe that is like, it's ground beef, some olives, some green olives, some garlic, and I want to say it's yellow raisins and some other like cool herbs and stuff like that. But traditionally it's served on potatoes or on rice, but we did it on a crostini one year, and it was so good. It was really, really tasty. So I submitted that recipe because it was on my blog too. We ended up putting it on the blog, and it won. So I told the brewery, I was like, hey, so I just need to tell you guys and be super upfront and honest with you. I submitted your recipe. for CattleCon and I won, and they were like so pumped about it. So I've been like very vocal that it's not my recipe. It's just on my blog. They use my beef, but it's really good. And I also think I won because it was a Cuban dish, which like Florida, when we were at CattleCon, it's kind of like that vibe. So I think that's why maybe it won. But it was good. I like it. It's really tasty. Like I don't really make it that often, but it's a good like alteration on just typical ground beef because I eat a lot of ground beef here, and it's like usually in like a pasta or it's in we make burrito bowls literally almost every single day here, just because it's easy. But it definitely puts a little twist on my burrito bowl if you want to do like a picadillo Cuban twist. So highly recommend. It's very good, but not my recipe.
Yeah. Well, she does have some other ones that are hers that are fantastic. So check all out.
Mostly everything else is mine. But yes, not the picadillo.
I really want to make the one with the rigatoni pasta.
Yes.
I can't.
So stay tuned for that probably after this or before this podcast episode's released. But September 5th, I want to say, my recipe is going to be published on the California Beef Council. I want to say I think it's on their website too, but definitely on their social media channels. And it's the beef rigatoni. So they picked that one for that little collaboration. So that's really cool too. So California Beef Council is doing a really cool thing right now. It's like a back to school, easy beef recipe ideas. So check that out because it's going to be probably posted for a while. But they collaborated with different foodie influencers of California and also agricultural influencers of California. So they picked myself, Brooke Hessel from .7 Ranch, Gabriella, I can't remember her last name, but Gabriella, she's the Catalyst. She's in Northern California, Southern Oregon kind of area. And then Natalie Koopman, who's Koopman Family Beef. She's in Central like Bay Area, California too. So we all have like fun little recipes that are like easy. They basically told us anything but ground beef. So it had to be anything but ground. So yeah, check it out. It's going to be cool. There's a lot of really fun things on there.
Cool. Well, I'll link that too when it goes live, depending on when this episode launches. But last thing, Alli, if someone is wanting to get in touch with you or connect, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah. So, I mean, on social media, that's pretty common. Like I check that pretty often. I'm on almost everything, I think, at least for like a millennial, I guess. But I'm on Instagram is probably my favorite. So it's Flying F Ranch. TikTok, same thing, Flying F Ranch. You can find me on Facebook too, again, Flying F Ranch. And then I guess my website, that's another good way. There's like a contact form. You can go on there and ask a question or whatnot. Happy to answer. I typically answer pretty quickly too. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming back on and letting us do a little Where Are They Now catch up.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And I'm excited to see everything kind of continue to take off for you guys. And I know the beef business is definitely going to grow and be such a good thing, I think, for your area, and just all of the work you're doing in the advocacy space too has been so fun to watch.
Well, thank you, Alli. I appreciate being invited back. It's always fun to hang out with you anyway. So it's just like talking with a friend. So thank you for having me back.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Ag Chicks. Don't forget to follow along on social media at Ag Chicks for more agricultural related content, and also be sure to check out your favorite podcast gear from www.agchicks.net. We'll see you next time.